Let's check in now with Chris Thomas, who's been following how the city of Oakland is handling their homeless situation. And Chris, a homeless village under a freeway was torn down, right?
Well, Christina, cities across the country, are struggling with how to manage people who are out on the streets. City says this homeless village set on land that was supposed to be a dog park. 2 weeks ago, activists took pallets and plywood to this part of West Oakland and built a homeless camp. They even set up a wash station and toilet and donated food and clothing. But today, those who lived in the homeless camp were back out on the street. Angry homeless advocates marched to Oakland City Hall demanding answers.
The city complains that they don't have the money, but we came together as a community to do this. People put their time, sweat, energy.
So what's the deal? Well, the city says the village had multiple health and fire code violations and was on land the city was leasing from Caltrans. The community groups that helped build the village say they will try and make another village somewhere else. And listen to this, Sacramento city leaders are moving forward with a plan to give homeless people priority for federal housing subsidies. The Sacramento Bee reports council members and county supervisors passed a resolution Tuesday to provide 200 public housing spots for homeless people. But city leaders admit the process will be challenging.
We don't have a lot of upfront money to build a big development. It's very costly, and the entitlement process and the time is what's really a key factor.
So what next? Well, staff will report back next month on what impact prioritizing the vouchers will have. Some housing advocates are concerned it could hurt the thousands of people living in poverty who have waited for years to get public housing vouchers. And remember, this week, city leaders rolled out what's called a micro-pad. It's a 160 square foot pod with a private bathroom, kitchenette, and bed. Well, that is an option here in Sacramento, right? But we just all have to kind of count our blessings, Christina, because in this time, it's tough out there.
It is, and we have, homeless situations and makeshift housing and camps up and down the state of California. It really is an issue for pretty much every city. All right, thank you, Chris. Well, English presents a tough learning curve for some students in the Stockton Unified School District. Many come from backgrounds where English is not their first language. ABC 10's Kurt Rivera shows us how Stockton's Edison High School is helping to ease that transition.
Inside Tariq Muhammad's classroom,
remember our complete sentences?
Freshman Jessica Gonzalez is learning to speak and write better English.
I feel like I could do any assignment he gives us.
Growing up in a household where Spanish is spoken a lot, her English skills sometimes lost in the shuffle.
I can't read when there's people talking around me, or I get confused with saying the words, big words.
But that's where Tariq Muhammad comes in.
Right? And also, what did you say, Margarita?
His English language development class meant to improve students' English skills, giving them confidence and hope.
When it comes to speaking in the informal settings, they have all the confidence in the world, but it's the academic settings that they struggle with.
Just here at Edison High School alone, out of more than 2,000 students, 1 out of 4 students are not at grade level for English. District-wide, K through 12, the number's the same. 1 out of 4 not at grade level. And for third graders, worse. Only 1 out of 5 can read and write proficiently.
In some cases, it's challenging. In other cases, kids already come to school prepared to tackle grade level work.
Superintendent Eliseo Davilo says the challenge can be socioeconomical and or being proficient, but at another language.
Where our students have difficulties with the last domain, that's the writing, transferring everything I know into writing a cohesive paragraph, into looking at creating complex sentence structures.
But success stories emerging. Junior Carlos Zaragoza, reading skills blossoming.
I mostly got stuck in words that I couldn't pronounce right, and I used to read fast. Now I just go during the pace.
And while the district has a long ways to go,
The win, and the win represents what?
Tariq Muhammad's class paying off for Jessica.
It's made a big difference?
Yeah, it's made a big difference.
In Stockton, Kurt Rivera, ABC 10 News.
Protests in Berkeley got way out of hand. We saw the same scenario play out when Breitbart editor Milos Yiannopoulos was scheduled for an event at UC Davis. Why should free speech on one side cause violent outbursts on the other? We look at what both sides of the political aisle have to say.
ABC 10's Information Network, powered by Xfinity.
At UC Berkeley, protests against a Breitbart news editor slated to speak on campus got way out of hand. They set fires, threw smoke bombs, and got their way. The school canceled the event for Milo Yiannopoulos, but some protesters didn't stop there. From the college campus to the streets of Berkeley, they left quite a mess. They directed their anger at banks and symbols of corporate America, smashing windows, tagging buildings, and sparking a big bonfire. But what the protesters didn't consider was that hitting the big guys hurt a lot of the little guys, too.
They're hitting the regular, everyday people that some of those people maybe work 2 jobs, and they need that money.
UC Berkeley police arrested 1 student last night and several people were hurt, but not seriously. The campus suffered about $100,000 in damage, though. More than 10 businesses across the city were also damaged, including a Starbucks, a Sprint, and a T-Mobile store. Well, last night's unrest in Berkeley shows just how divided the country is. After the event was canceled, President Donald Trump threatened to withhold federal funding for UC Berkeley. But with so much going on, we thought we'd reach out to the DeLuz brothers for perspective from both sides. Our Walt Gray sat down to referee this one.
They are no strangers to ABC 10 or in getting after each other. Twin brothers, David the Democrat and Craig the Conservative, more divided than ever about how America is being governed.
The president hasn't surprised me at all with what he's doing. As a matter of fact, I thought he would be trying to do even more.
Really?
Yeah, because he wants to change America. He wants to make America great, right?
That's why he was elected.
So we're going to destroy the Constitution. We're going to destroy the administration. We're going to ban people from countries that had nothing to do with terrorist attacks.
What he's done largely through his executive orders is undo things that President Obama refused to do, which was enact what the law is.
Craig, you weren't a Trump guy during the primaries. Are you a Trump guy now?
I am not a Trump guy.
Yes, he is.
And when I say I'm not a Trump
Hear
guy,
the words that are coming out of his mouth. He supports Trump.
I support the policies.
No,
I support the policies
so
that he's
you support
implemented.
Trump. So
I've
you support the
supported the policies.
that
My
Trump
concerns,
implements.
my issues with some of the things that have taken place is in terms of how it's been implemented.
As a staunch Democrat,
Yes.
what is your level of dislike for what's going on?
My level, on a scale of 1 to 10, my level of dislike is a 15.
No,
I really
has it ever
believe-
been this high?
It has never been this high,
Why?
even in the height of what George Bush was doing, because he's throwing out even the pretense of being part of a democratic system of government. He is ruling by fiat. He is saying this is what we're going to do. Him, Steve Bannon, and Sean Spicer are making it up as they go along.
As a conservative, are more people coming to Trump, you feel, as conservatives, or going away at this point?
More conservatives are coming to Trump because as he is following through on the commitments that he made, more conservatives are starting to come to Donald Trump.
He's not a phony. I think we all can agree on that. He is who he is.
He is
He's not a phony.
He is who he is.
David, would you agree with that? He's not a phony, no matter what. He rolled it out there. You either voted for him or you didn't.
You're
I
right.
wouldn't say he's a phony.
Right.
All right, there you go. Tonight at 11 on Late News Tonight, a new type of plastic could be attracting rodents to eat the wiring in newer vehicles. At least that's what a class action lawsuit claims. ABC 10's John Bartel has a preview of the problem.
So rodent damage to your vehicle isn't anything new, but there is a new class action lawsuit filed right here in California stating that car makers have changed plastic to something that rats and rodents love to eat. The plastic that I'm talking about is right here. It's the coating around these copper wires. So new manufacturers have been changing the plastic to an eco-friendly soy-based plastic coating. Well, some say that that soy-based plastic is like dinner to rats and rodents. So tonight at 11, we're going to dive into this lawsuit, and we're also going to give you some tips on how to protect your vehicle. John Bartel, ABC 10 News.
Well, Monica, one thing we can all agree on is it is nice to see some rain and snow in this drought.
And we're not done yet as well. Winter storm warning goes into effect again at 10 p.m. lasts through 4 a.m. on Saturday. We're talking about another 1 to 3 feet of snow above the 7,000 foot mark. We've got a couple of systems out here in the Pacific, one to take us into the weekend, one to take us out. Your forecast is next.
Well, don't put away your jackets just yet. Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, which means 6 more weeks of winter. But does it? This groundhog is no Monica, and he proves it. The Punxsutawney Groundhog Club, which cares for Phil and organizes this yearly television event, says Phil has been correct less than 40% of the time. It's not great odds. And unlike Bill Murray, we only have to live through this one day a year. So if groundhogs aren't good at predicting weather, what are they actually good at? Well, they like to rip up gardens and other foliage. They are a rodent, after all. They're also good at hibernating. The National Wildlife Federation says they can drop their body temperature from 99 to 37 degrees. Well, before there were experts like Monica, watching hibernating animals come back outside would be a sign spring was coming. One more thing, you know that song about the woodchuck? It's just another name for a groundhog. So you can probably guess they don't chuck wood or tell the weather very well. Let's hear it from the expert now. Monica, what's your verdict on what Phil had to say?
Well, it's going to look like winter, but I'll tell you what, these temperatures are actually going to be pretty mild, almost a taste of spring, with highs today reaching the low to mid 60s. We're still seeing a few sprinkles out there as far as this first system that's rolling through. It is starting to wind down. We're still near 60 degrees as we're starting to wrap up this Thursday, 40 for Tahoe, and you see that camera bouncing around. We're going to talk about winds in just a moment. 63 degrees, the high today. Our average is 57. Again, just a little bit above average, and we're going to stay right about that mark for a stretch here. We're now at 19.5 inches of rain since October 1st, well above the average. Normally in an entire water year, we get 18.5 inches. Again, those the water for the valley as well as the Sierra, that story just continues to be really, really great at this point. As far as our rainfall totals for today, about 1/4 inch through most of the valley. Marysville, though, managed to make it to about 1/2 inch. Most of the foothills, about 1/4 inch. Some areas we're seeing up to about 1 inch of rain, though, in isolated pockets. Our weather watchers for today from our ABC 10 weather force, you're going to notice all the way up through Sugar Pine at 42 degrees. It was rain, as well as in Groveland at 53. Sierra City, 41 degrees today. Jim reporting rain there. Blairsden at 44 with rain, and Bucks Lake also at 42. Many of those areas we're seeing snow with our January systems. That's just indicative of the warm nature of this first weather system rolling through. Weather Force at abc10.com and hashtag WXForce10 on Twitter and Instagram will get us those weather updates. All right, on to the winds now. Out of the southeast at about 10 miles per hour. They will start to increase through tonight into early tomorrow as that front rolls through. 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts early tomorrow through the first part of the day. Well, you can see it kind of shaded in here. That will extend all the way through the foothills with the areas in that reddish color. That's indicating the concentration of those stronger wind gusts. So the low starts to move our way for tonight. It really ramps up early tomorrow morning with a chance of thunderstorms, and it will continue on and off through the day with a slight chance of isolated thunderstorms through the afternoon. Snow pretty steady for the Sierra. Back edge of this starts to move through on Saturday, giving us a showery forecast, and then we start to track this next low. That'll hit us by the end of the weekend, and when we talk total accumulation by early next week, it's going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain through the valley and the foothills. In the Sierra, highs will be right around 40 for tomorrow. Again, it's areas of rain and snow straight through the weekend. Tuesday, we see that snow level finally jump up above the pass level, but until that time, we are going to see some snow on the passes. As far as the valley, a slight chance for thunderstorms, and tomorrow's forecast highs will be right about 60. And then moving on to that 10-day planner, a bit of a break on Saturday, more rain developing in the evening on Sunday, and that takes us through early next week. But you're noticing those temperatures are right around 60 to 63 degrees.
Not bad. Warm.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Monica. Well, coming up, the Kings lose another player due to injury, but they could get a boost from one of their rookies. We'll explain next.
And I think she's terrific. If you recall, last year Coldplay was the halftime act, and sports producer Sean Cunningham, as you can tell behind me here, very giddy about getting a selfie with Coldplay lead man Chris Martin. Well, I wasn't about to be outdone by Sean, so I flew down to Houston early this morning so I could get my picture taken with Lady Gaga. And I'm happy to report the trip to Houston was a complete success. Lady Gaga even wanted to throw me the football. Look how happy I am. She is fantastic. We had a great time down in Houston.
Someone's been working overtime on the Photoshop.
I love the Super Bowl. How can you not love this? One day, okay, fine, we made that up, but one day, Christina, Lady Gaga and I will take a picture together
Yes,
one day.
It'll be love at first sight, I'm sure.
Yes,
All
I
right.
have no doubt.
Thank you.